Automotive journalist Matas Kurat says it's freezing in Detroit. There are always at least 10 centimeters of snow on the ground when he's here. Maybe that's because he always comes in January for the North American International Auto Show, the industry's first major fair of the year. Some manufacturers don't even wait for the official opening and start launching their models the evening before, like Mercedes, which presented the 10th generation of its new high-end midsize car. Plenty of electronics make the new E-Class the smartest Mercedes to ever roll off the assembly line. Daimler board chairman Dieter Zetsche says that the convergence of the digital and automotive worlds is opening unbelievable possibilities. Most strikingly for the driver, assist features that now provide safety levels very close to Daimler's vision of a crash-free world. The Bavarian-based competition is focused more on adrenaline. The 3-liter engine in BMW's M2 puts out 272 kilowatts of power, which can hurtle the coupe to 100 kilometers an hour in just 4.3 seconds. It'll hit German streets for the first time in April.
We had a record year last year, almost 2.25 million sales all around the world from BMW Mini and Rolls-Royce. We expect this year to see some growth, but it'll be probably at the low end, single-digit growth. I think the world is slowing in some areas. It's normalized in China. Europe is still recovering, so we are going to see growth, but I don't think it'll be of the same order we've seen in recent years.
Porsche also set records for sales last year. Its standard bearer in the U.S. is the 911 Turbo. Around 1 in 5 of all 911s sold in North America is a turbo. It comes as a coupe or convertible with a choice of engines. The facelifted version of the road racer has grown even faster, and the S model harnesses a staggering 427 kilowatts of power. Mata says that's no surprise, but something else is. Despite the jump in power, all of the 911s now consume far less fuel than their predecessors. But only if you don't hit the gas too hard. VW is still struggling to win back consumer confidence after last year's emissions scandal sent the company into a tailspin. The CEO of its passenger cars brand says that its priority in 2016 is to solve the problems its cars have caused and reach agreements with regulators on how they have to repair the damage. He's optimistic VW can accomplish that in the coming weeks. And then it'll be about rebuilding the brand. Dealers are sticking with VW, he says, and the company has a plant that is doing fantastic work, so he's very optimistic about the future. That optimism is reflected in the carmaker's Tiguan GTE Active concept. It offers a sneak preview of the model, slated to be introduced on the U.S. market in 2017. That's the year Lexus is also planning to launch a new model. Back in 2012, the LC500 was premiered as a design concept, the LFLC. Interest was so great that the luxury car maker decided to take the 4-seater into volume production. Lexus is bucking the trend with its engine, which isn't a hybrid but a gasoline-powered V8. The LC500 is the first car ever with a 10-gear automatic transmission. Mata says that Lexus's slick LFFC concept sedan also provides a glimpse of a driving future that's powered by hydrogen. With its H-Tron Quattro concept, Audi also brought a fuel cell platform to Detroit. Here, it's all wrapped up in an SUV that was already showcased as an electric model at the IAA in Frankfurt last year. Hydrogen has a lot of advantages. Mata says concepts like these combine the best of two worlds. There's the emissions-free world you'd get with battery-powered electric cars, but you can also fill them up quickly, just like with gas or diesel cars. That's far more convenient than hanging around at a charging station for half an hour. But there's the chicken or the egg problem, he says. Without cars like this on the road, there won't be much infrastructure. And without that, why should car makers build these cars? The North American International Auto Show isn't just for car makers, says Matas, but also for suppliers. ZF is showing an airbag that's mounted on the outside of the vehicle and is intended to provide even more protection. Just like this concept for a rear passenger airbag that pops out the back of the front seats. Modern sensors would deploy the exterior airbags right before a collision. They would extend the car's crumple space, especially along the sides, which would increase the occupant's odds of surviving. Mata says he's seen that the cars of the future are growing smarter and smarter, like the Mercedes E-Class and its car-to-X communication system. They're also growing safer, not just with better sensors and autonomous driving, but also because of airbags outside the car as well as in. And the cars of the future won't just be more fuel efficient. In many cases, they won't need fossil fuel at all, but use energy sources like hydrogen. Car tester Sascha Knapp is trying out Germany's best-selling Mazda, the CX-5. It's been given a facelift. With almost 19,000 units sold in 2015, it's a cash cow for the maker. Among all Mazda's cars, he says, it has the highest starting price. The facelift promises to make the CX-5 even more lucrative, says Sascha. It has a new, stronger gasoline-powered engine and new extras that can easily push the price up to around 40,000 euros. About half the buyers opt for all-wheel drive, and some 40% choose the CX-5's top-line package. The moment Sascha starts off, he notices how much quieter the new Mazda CX-5 is. The engineers did their bit with sound insulation in the engine compartment, he says. And the doors and windows have better soundproofing, partially due to thicker glass. We tested the smallest gasoline engine with all-wheel drive. Its 118 kilowatts of power can push the car from 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in 9.2 seconds. Mazda rates consumption at 6.6 liters per 100 kilometers. Mazda has given the CX-5 a new look as well, with LED head and taillights. Starting with its exclusive Line series, adaptive headlights that automatically reduce glare for oncoming traffic are also available. There's also a whole range of improved or completely new driver assist systems, among them an adaptive cruise control and proximity warning from rear parking sensors. The interior leaves an understated and sober impression. Japanese cars have long been known for being gray and dreary. Bland design has often been the norm, but in the CX-5, it now feels more intentionally laid back. The interior is dominated by straightforward lines, clear forms, and top-notch materials. Sascha is pleased to find plenty of room in front and back, even though getting in and out through the small doors can be a bit awkward. The back seat has a bit more room than it would seem at first glance, he says, thanks to indentations for passengers' knees in the backs of the front seats. Even so, he wouldn't want to sit back there too long. The body design makes for a relatively high loading sill in the trunk, above Sascha's knees, a potential difficulty for people who don't like to lift. But on the inside, the trunk isn't very deep. So taking things like drinks out shouldn't be much of a problem. And there's a lip, so if you're hauling apples or something that can roll around, they won't fall out on the ground as soon as the hatch is opened.
Die können nicht rausfallen, wenn man den Kofferraum öffnet, eben wegen dieser inneren Ladekante.
The cargo space holds 503 liters in all. Sasha stresses that the CX-5 was Mazda's bestseller because it has the potential for it. It has plenty of cargo space and seating for 4 people. Mazda's next big hit may well be the CX-3. It's a little smaller, but also a bit more affordable.
Aber dafür auch ein bisschen günstiger.
The CX-3 has been in showrooms since last June as a smaller SUV alternative to its big brother, the CX-5. Our car tester Reinhold Deisenhofer explains that in an accident, children are 7 times more likely to suffer serious or fatal injuries if they're not correctly secured. The quality of the safety features is also important, and something parents really need to get right is the child seat. Isofix is a standardized connector that securely fastens the child's seat to the car. It saves you from getting tangled up trying to attach the seat using the seat belt. If everything's fitted correctly, the child should suffer minimal impact in an accident. Reinhold says that if your car doesn't have Isofix connectors, the child seat can be attached using the seat belts. Just make sure the belt isn't twisted. And you must always deactivate the passenger airbag.
Bitte auf jeden Fall den Beifahrersitz Airbag deaktivieren.
For many families, the stressful part of going on vacation is loading up the trunk. Then adults should make sure everyone's strapped in and ready to go. Small children, at least babies under 18 months, should be in seats facing backwards. This supports the child's head, neck, and back and provides excellent protection in case of a head-on collision. With older children, it's important that their heads don't stick out too far over the top of the seat. This avoids head and neck injuries during a rear collision. Always use the belt to strap the child in and read the instructions carefully. Side impacts are especially dangerous, explains Reinhold, but modern side airbags provide extra protection for children in seats facing forwards or backwards. But it's important to make sure no objects like toys or clothes are left between the side airbag cover and the child's seat. In case of a crash, these could go flying and might be very dangerous. No matter what fun the passengers are having, the driver should never get distracted. There should always be an adult passenger to keep an eye on the back seats and make sure the children are safe. Temperature is also a key factor. Keeping the car at a constant 22 degrees Celsius keeps your kids from getting cold and also holds fuel consumption down. But to finish up, let's take a look at how not to do it. The child sitting on an adult's lap or on the armrest without a seatbelt. Standing in front of the passenger seat. Lying on the back seats. Or even sitting in the trunk.
Kinder im Auto.
Taking children in the car is a big responsibility, but just a few simple steps can keep your little ones safe on the road. It's Andre Zimmermann's first encounter with a car that's popular among people who spend lots of time on the road, the Ford Mondeo.
Okay.
Our car tester isn't normally a fan of Ford interiors, but he thinks this one is actually pretty nice. The control elements have been significantly reduced, and they're nicely arranged. It doesn't take Andre long to find his way around. He also points out the semi-digital displays, which provide lots of information. The quality feels good, he says. Nice, soft materials. Looks great. His test car has titanium fittings and a 110 kilowatt 2-liter diesel engine. It'll set you back almost 40,000 euros in Germany. An equivalent VW Passat, which is the top dog in the sector, costs around 5,000 more. That's a considerable difference in price, one that might make you reconsider plumping for the market leader. Andre makes a pit stop at a beverage shop, and passing the Mondeo looks like it could provide a fair amount of storage, although it does fall about 100 liters short of the Passat. But facts and figures don't really say that much. What does that mean for everyday activities? Andre's got 10 crates of water. He's going to see how many he can fit inside the Mondeo. The trunk's at a good loading height, especially for heavy objects. Your back will thank you. With the back seats up, Andre's managed to pack in 6 crates, and he couldn't get in the other 4 if he lowered them. In most modern station wagons, he says, there's a mechanism in the trunk for that. Sadly, not here. But if you press this button twice, the trailer hitch pops out automatically. In most cars, this isn't fully electric. Whether it's a sales rep or a parent, most station wagon customers are just looking for a safe, comfortable car. Does the Mondeo meet that demand? Andre thinks the Mondeo's suspension is on the comfortable side, but if you take a curve too sharply, you might find it has a tendency to lean over a little too far. Still, he doesn't ever feel unsafe, or that the Mondeo is losing its grip on the road. His test car has a standard automatic gearbox rather than the dual-clutch transmission you'd find in a VW. But don't worry, says Andre, it changes gears so quickly that it doesn't affect driving comfort. He's taking the Mondeo for a spin on the Autobahn to test its mettle over long distances. Here, the car's comfort really comes to the fore. Its powerful engine and fine technical details are impressive. On the Autobahn, Andre tests out many of the assist systems, like collision assist. It warns him if he's too close to the car in front. He reckons Ford got the idea from Volvo, but it's still pretty good. Another Mondeo highlight, the spacious rear seats. Andre is impressed by the amount of space. He says he always feels a lot taller sitting than standing, and here he has ample space back. It's really comfortable, but more important than that is the seat belt. It's thicker than a normal belt, and the buckle doesn't let you pull it up and down. That makes it a bit clumsy, he says, but there's a good reason for it, the seatbelt airbag. Andre explains that in case of an accident, a gas cartridge inflates this section, which helps prevent your ribs from breaking. And at 300 euros, it's a good investment because who normally sits in the back? The kids. It's an important selling point compared to the Passat, which at least nominally comes out on top. But you can't measure design, and he thinks the chrome grille really outshines the plain old VW designs.
Chromgrill setzt sich eindeutig von der Masse ab, im Gegensatz vom Allerweltsdesign aus dem VW-Konzern.
Pascal Kopp lives for classic sports cars, mostly British. Designs and engineering are important to Pascal. Shapes tell you instantly whether you're looking at a Jaguar XK, Coupe, or C-Type. There's something about the designs that can't be reproduced. Modern car makers can't touch them. There are some nice ideas in modern cars, he says, but a lot of great things were around back then that you don't see anymore. Like the MGC GT Sebring. Most of the fewer than 5,000 Sebrings were made in 1968. Hardly any have survived. They were popular as racing and rally cars, and plenty ended up as a pile of twisted metal. Pascal runs an event agency. He loves tooling around country roads in his Sebring. Pascal says the classic racer's sound, look, and handling are all missing in modern cars. Hearing the Weber carburetor moan as it sucks in air when you open it up gives him much more of a thrill than any modern fuel injection system ever could. The MG in the name is the car maker, while the C stands for the six-cylinder engine. GT indicates the closed roadster body style. The Sebring, which is named after a racetrack in Florida, was the racing version. It has broader fenders and a 200-horsepower engine. Pascal explains that at the time, MG Motorsport's relatively small engine department built the Sebring for the Sebring races. But as far as he knows, none of the original cars have survived to the present day. They had aluminum engine blocks, of which none are left. Of course, he says, they were fitted with Weber carburetors, and the cars had an adjustable chassis. They were more than well equipped when it came to the engine.
Und damit war das Ding mehr als gut motorisiert.
The Sebring's top speed of some 220 kilometers per hour was impressive for 1968. Under the hood is a real whopper of an engine, a 3-liter single-cast 6-cylinder block. The standard version delivered 145 horsepower. The modified version, some 200 horsepower. Pascal had his MG overhauled by a specialist in England 6 years ago, and he's been improving it here and there ever since. He says that, unlike most British cars of the era, it's dependable. Pascal's car would have been perfectly equipped for rally racing. It includes a Tripmaster odometer and a passenger-side reading lamp. And the bucket seats and racing seat belts provide perfect support. Pascal regularly takes part in classic car rallies, and for several years now, he's even organized his own. Like a movie location scout, he's always on the lookout for unusual routes. Rustling up the permits, setting the routes, and planning the stages are all part of the job. The right course has to fulfill a number of criteria. The landscape should be scenic, the traffic minimal, and conditions not overly tough on the automotive antiques. Pascal points out that the rallies aren't really about winning, but a certain degree of ambition doesn't hurt. It's mostly about having fun, he says, enjoying yourself and carrying on the tradition. First and foremost, it's about having fun. And Pascal Kopp has fun, especially when he's out and about in one of his darlings, hunting for beautiful routes for his next rally.